Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm your host, Patrick Murray. Today we're going to talk about buying a home in Calgary, Alberta in the current seller's market. But before we do that, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to eat, sleep, breathe, live, and play in Calgary, Alberta, then just hit that subscribe button and click that little bell so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Now I have to tell you, I've lived in 5 major centers in my adult life, but I ended up moving and staying in Calgary, Alberta way back in 2001. Yes, I know it's a little while ago, but I stayed here because Calgary is a great city. And not only that, I've been a realtor here since 2010. And all this means I have some specialized knowledge about the city of Calgary and the surrounding bedroom communities. So if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or one of these bedroom communities and you would like some assistance to purchase a home, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you. Okay guys, let's do this. Let's talk about buying a home in Calgary, Alberta in the current seller's market right after this. Now I've discussed buying a home in Calgary, Alberta in other videos. Heck, I've even written a book on the topic. But you know what? Since both of those times, the market has changed greatly. Right now, Calgary is going through a period of high demand for homes with very little supply. And well, what happens when that occurs? Well, prices go up. And there's a lot of competition for properties at this time. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to discuss what I'm seeing in the marketplace right now with buyers and sellers, how they're reacting, what we're seeing for offers, and we're going to discuss conditions. And conditions are those little pieces of protection you put into a contract so that you can do your due diligence before making a property sale firm. I'm going to open your eyes to what you need to be prepared for when you write that offer. And you know what? I'm even going to share some tips to help make your offer stand out above the others. So here's what I'm seeing in the market right now. A property comes onto the market for sale. In the private comments, it says the seller is going to look at offers in roughly 3 to 5 business days in many cases if it's a really great property. And there's going to be a frenzy, a whole bunch of people are going to come see it. And then at that specified date, the seller is going to look at the offers at the specified time, and they're going to go through and they're going to accept a contract that's most exciting and acceptable to them. Now, this is a very exciting time for sellers. For buyers, not so much. Many buyers end up making several offers over the course of time, and it's frustrating because they are competing with other individuals. They write offer after offer, and they keep getting shut down, and you have to go look at other properties or wait for that one special property to come back on the market. Now, a part of this frustration certainly comes from the amount of competition out there, but the other part of the frustration comes from a lack of understanding from buyers from the get-go as to what to expect in the current market conditions. Now, I've witnessed the market from both sides of the coin, representing buyers and representing sellers. Now, right now for my seller clients, again, like I said, it's an exciting time. In most cases, my clients are accepting offers at the very least at their list price, and in many cases above the list price. And if it's a really great property and the seller gives enough buyers enough time to get through the home, well, in many cases, like I said, these properties are selling well above list price. And I'm talking the sky's the limit. Now, I've also seen offers coming in where there's a lack of conditions or contingencies. Now, these conditions, again, these are these little things in the contract to protect buyer clients to ensure that the home they're buying is exactly what they want and there's no surprises. But again, we're seeing a lot of these contracts not having these conditions or contingencies in the contract, which means all a seller has to do is go through, choose one of these contracts, sign it, and the deal is done. Now again, you can see how great this is for a seller. For a buyer, again, not so much. Now let me be clear, as a realtor, I don't like this crazy frenzied seller's market. Why? Because a lot of people are making a lot of irrational decisions, both sellers and buyers. For buyers, I can't do my job if there can't be conditions in the contract. Part of my job is to protect my buyer clients, and I do that by ensuring there are these conditions and contingencies in place so that they can ensure they're getting the very best property for their dollar. But the reality is, it's important to make your contract as clean as possible when offering a property and competing with other buyers. And by clean, I mean not having too many items in the contract that are up for negotiation. So for one, when you put a deposit down, make your deposit strong so the seller knows that you're serious about the property. When it comes to possession date, hey, try your best to take the seller's possession date because that's what the sellers want and they're holding the cards. But it can also mean other things, and this is where things get a bit sticky. Remember those conditions I was talking about? Well, let's paint a little bit of a picture here. Imagine not having a home inspection condition on a property. And then you move into that property and you find there's a whole laundry list of items that you must do to fix the property. Maybe there's some really expensive items there that you need to do to fix the property. Maybe you end up needing a furnace, but you didn't get a home inspection. Or imagine you're buying a condominium. So you're buying into a corporation and you don't have a condominium document review condition in there. So you go through, you buy the condo without that condition, and then you find out there's all these things wrong with the corporation. And in fact, it's going to end up costing you a whole bunch of money in special assessments down the road. Or let's consider financing. What if you need a mortgage, but you don't have a financing condition in there because you're afraid your offer won't get accepted? Well, that's just plain crazy, because imagine a picture where the lender says, hey, we're not going to finance the deal. Now keep this in mind too. Just because you have a pre-approval for a mortgage doesn't mean the lender is going to fund a deal, because the lender then has to approve the property you're purchasing as well. And if you have a high ratio mortgage, meaning you have very little money down, but you need to put a lot of money in mortgage financing to afford the property, well, the lender may look at it, and because of the competition and the price going up, they may turn to you and say, we're not funding the deal. Where does that leave you as a buyer? Well, it leaves you in a lot of trouble. Now let's talk about that mortgage financing a little bit more. Now, while sellers like a clean contract, and they like a contract without a financing condition, what it comes down to in the end is, in many cases, getting the most money. So I've had buyers say, well, I don't understand, we were all cash, why aren't they accepting our offer? Well, maybe the seller accepted a property or a contract on their property that was higher price but had a mortgage. In many cases, the seller doesn't care. They don't care how they get their money as long as they're getting their money. So whether the bank is funding part of that or a mortgage lender, or if you're paying cash, doesn't matter. Oftentimes it does come down to the money. Now let me be clear. If you're making an offer on a property and you need a mortgage, please ensure you have that financing condition in place. It is completely irresponsible not to have a financing condition in place if you're not paying cash. If you're paying cash, have at it. But if you need that mortgage funding, then you need to have that condition in place. It's just reckless not to. Now let's go back to those other conditions, such as a property inspection. Like I said, sellers really do like a clean contract, and that can sometimes mean the lack of conditions, which is great for a seller, but not so great for a buyer. So if you decide that you want to move ahead without having a property inspection condition, or a condominium document review condition, or perhaps another condition that you might think you should have in place, but you decide not to because you don't want to lose the property, then keep in mind, I could probably have you sign an acknowledgement explaining to you the risks involved, and having you sign off saying that you are making this decision of your own free will. Why? Because it doesn't allow me to protect you if you're taking those conditions away. Yes. Will it make your contract stand out to a seller and help you get a better, perhaps help you win the bid to get that property? Yes, it might. But remember, it comes with great risk to you and your family. Now, there are a few strategies that realtors have to help you get your offer accepted by a seller. And one of those is to see the property as quickly as possible when it comes onto the market and be first to make that offer and make it good. I mean, make it stand out, make it look so good with a short timeline that the seller has FOMO, or fear of missing out. In fact, they may look at it and say, gee, you know what? We might not get this down the road. This offer is going to disappear, so we'll accept it right now. That's one strategy. Now, remember when I was saying some of those properties say the seller's going to be looking at offers at a certain time and a certain date? And sometimes there will also be language in there saying the seller reserves the right to accept an offer sooner should they choose, and if it's really good. Well, you know what? You don't really need that language in there because the seller holds all the cards anyway. So if the seller instructs their agent that yes, they want to accept an offer sooner, they can do that. They hold all the cards, guys. So one thing that we're seeing out there is something called bully offers. Now, what's a bully offer? Well, it's when there is that timeline and the realtor says and the seller says that they're not looking at offers until this date and this time, but you go ahead and submit ahead of time and with a short timeline, and you make it good. Again, it's trying to appeal to the seller's fear of missing out. They don't want to lose a really great offer. In some cases, if it's really good, the seller will accept your offer ahead of time without looking at those other offers. And if they don't like it, well, they may tell you to pack sand and come back and resubmit with everybody else down the road. And a final strategy is to maybe have a letter to the seller telling them why you love their home, why you're purchasing a home, what you plan to do with the home, and how you and your family are going to enjoy it. And it could include the home, it could include the area, the schools, all sorts of things in there to appeal to the seller's sensitivities. Now, you have to be cautious because this doesn't work with every property. You know, if somebody's only lived in a property for a short amount of time, or if it's been a revenue property, the seller may not really care about the pull at the heartstrings kind of letter. However, if it's somebody that's lived in the community a long time, perhaps they've raised their children in that house, the house means something to them. They may want their home going to another family. They may want somebody to love it as much as they do. So in that case, it might appeal, but you need to be cautious because if you're sending it to somebody that's not in that position, they may look at that letter as an attempt to manipulate them into accepting the offer, and that could also backfire. So the take-home message is it's a very challenging market right now. It's challenging for buyers especially because there's a lot of competition right now, and there's a lot of corners being cut by buyers to get the best property for them and their family, or at least so they think, and it comes at a risk. But the most important thing is to go into your home search and your home buying process with eyes wide open so you know what's going on in the market and you're better prepared. Work with your agent to prepare the best offer, to prepare the best strategy for you and your family to ensure that you're properly protected and so that you can be successful in finding a great home. Like I said, if you are considering moving to the city of Calgary or one of the bedroom communities and you would like some assistance to purchase a home, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you so you can live your life in Calgary, Alberta.